What's up, fellow DJs? This is Rich coming at you with my 2007 BMW M6. Had this car since 2013, and I'm going to tell you about it today. I'm going to splice in some background footage or B-roll of the car, give you a cold start as well and some photos. But I bought this car in 2013 from an architect in Conshohocken, Pennsylvania. It was at the end of my first deployment. I'd saved up the whole deployment for this car, and I bought it for $39,500, and it had 43,000 miles on it. It is an E63. It's the second year of the M6 coupe production years, second generation overall, preceded by the E24 in the 80s. And the individual who owned this car was an architect in Conshohocken. I flew there, met him, picked up the car, gave him the wire transfer. He had this car and he had an E46 M3. And I always thought how cool to get vanity plates at the 3.6 Mafia, but he didn't do it, and I've never bought an E46 M3, despite what a good looking car that is. But this car is a piece of my life, and I've sunk a lot of time into it. I've owned it now for 12 years, been paid off for a long time. It has a 5-liter V10 known as the S85 engine, and I just paid for the rod bearing service. So while it won Engine of the Year, I think back in like 2006, it has a fatal factory defect in that the rod bearings that help connect the piston to the crankshaft tend to dissolve, and they will hand grenade the engine. So not but a few months ago, I paid a reputable shop known as the Workshop in Libertyville, and we got that repaired for, I want to say, to the tune of $3,500 for labor and an additional about $1,000 for a parts kit that was aftermarket. So the engine's fantastic. I'll flash some pictures of it. Wheels, I think, are the same size all the way around. Yeah, they are. They're 19-inch wheels. Fairly meaty tires. I hardly drive this car. It's got 101,000 miles on the clock now. I try to keep miles off it, but I will in fact never get rid of it. I'm looking now inside the car, and I'll flash some pictures of that. It has the 6-speed manual transmission, which is quite rare. The manual only came to the North American market in the production years of 06 to 10. And what that means is there's only 323 in circulation in North America that are the coupes. I think the convertible is about the same number. And then if you splice in that manual with this color, which is Sepang bronze metallic, as any reasonable owner would do, you research the genesis of the name and the color behind the car, come to find out that Sepang is a district in Malaysia. And not only is it a district, but it's a district where they do their F1 race. So the color is quite striking. It doesn't have a sunroof. It's a slick top. It's carbon fiber, which of course BMW will window dress as weight savings when really you get one less feature in the sense of a moon or sunroof. The mirrors are also bespoke to the M classification of the E63. If you look at the standard 650 during this model year and period, you'll see that it has slightly different mirrors, which I in fact find more handsome than these. Also, these vents, these kind of notional vents with integrated lights, are not common on the standard 6 Series. I think the side skirts are a bit different, and then I don't think this color was offered to the traditional 6 Series. The 5-spoke wheels are timeless. They're not particularly ostentatious or flashy, but they get the job done. Never failed me. I have curved them a little bit in my 12 years of ownership. Talking more about the car, some of the upgrades I've done a Diamond Stage 1 tune at BMW in Nashville a long time ago. I used to spend a lot of money on tires on the Michelin Pilot Sport 2s. They're quite soft and malleable and good for performance, but I couldn't justify the cost anymore, so I just have some Coopers on here that I don't really care about. I've done the Angel Eye upgrade twice, as the thumbnail photo will show, the bright LED illumination as opposed to the standard halogen bulb dull yellow that it came with. The tail lights I haven't messed with, but they're terrific. They glow in the dark just as you'd want them to, with a really kind of opulent sheen to them at night. I can't quite describe it, but you'll know it when you see it, or any car from this era. And speaking of the butt, I'll transition to Photos at this point of the butt. It's known as the Bangle butt after Chris Bangle, who designed the rank and file of BMWs during the early 2000s that were quite controversial at the time, between the 7 Series, the 5 Series, which was the sister car to this with the same S85 V10 engine, as well as, of course, this. It has aged, I think, pretty well. The back end, one of the differentiating things of the back, and then I'll go back to the front, is that the 07 and 06 model years do not have the third brake light, which always made me envious and always made me wish that I'd waited just another year to buy or something like that. But it does look pretty clean. It has a little spoiler that's integrated, which is, I like to think, an homage to the original 6 Series, and of course then it was a rubber gasket that would disintegrate over time and become a warped problem. Also in front, you'll notice there's no fog lights. You just have big air intakes to cool the engine. They are functional, however, just like the sun and moon roof, the omission of that luxury feature is rather unnerving, as you're paying the premium for the performance model and BMW strips away features from you. Overall, it's been a fantastic car to me. I've driven it in snowstorms. I've driven it all across the country. It is the ultimate cruiser. Part of that stage 1 performance tune is it omits the speed limiter at 155 miles an hour, and it brings the redline limiter up to 8,450. The engine is relatively stock other than that performance tune. I've also, I've considered doing an exhaust with Meisterschaft or Akrapovic. I'll consider those maybe some time later on. But from factory, it makes 507 horse and it makes 383 foot-pounds of torque. Pretty formidable numbers for a car that weighs just over 3,600 pounds. It does 0 to 62 in about 4.5 seconds. I've never timed it. Certainly I get after it on the highways and put my foot in it, but I've never really done donuts or thrashed the transmission just because I want to preserve the car for life. I'm never selling it. It's never coming back. I have great insurance on it. I keep it, diapered and buttoned up in a garage most of the time of the year. But it's great to be united with it once again. And then that reminds me that the couple interior refurbishments I've done is I've replaced the halogen bulbs with LED bulbs, which any stooge can do if you just watch a couple YouTube videos. And I've also put some aftermarket pedals on it that are steel and give kind of a more aggressive look. And recently I replaced the factory mats with these bespoke M6 mats, which I don't think they're OEM, but they're certainly OEM imitation, and it's nice clean carpet to replace some of the dated carpets that I had in there. I had a window tint on it, which I think made the car look quite menacing and formidable. I lived in North Carolina in a period of time where you had to meet a window tint standard, and I had to remove the tint to get it to pass the inspection standard, which was really frustrating and quite a waste of money. I don't think I'll put tint back on. I enjoy that you can see inside the car. It kind of has a fishbowl feel. Good visibility all the way around. It feels quite small despite its rather long size relative to other cars in its class, especially for the era. But it's a great car. I don't know why these haven't shot up in value yet, especially with the horsepower wars going on between trucks like my TRX and the Raptor and the Raptor R, and hopefully something out of GM soon other than the ZR2 and the Trail Boss, those things. I hope the value shoots up, but I don't intend to ever sell, so I suppose it doesn't really matter. But a great car, and if you want to talk M6s, I'm your guy, particularly the 63. Thanks for watching, and I hope you learned something.